All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most secretive corners of finance, family offices. These are the private firms that manage the massive fortunes of the ultra-wealthy. And we're going to explore how a brand new kind of technology, these AI agents, is quietly becoming their most powerful secret weapon. So let's get right into it.
It all kicks off with this pretty incredible claim: a 5-person team doing the work of 20. I mean, just think about that for a second. That's not just a little efficiency boost, it's a complete game changer for how these teams can operate. It's a 4x force multiplier.
And that really brings us to the big question, right? How on earth can a tiny team, and I mean tiny, possibly keep up with the insane complexity of managing billions of dollars spread across all sorts of different investments? The math just doesn't seem to add up.
To figure that out, we first have to really understand the problem they're facing. It's this unique challenge that the source material calls the boutique team's dilemma. Basically, they've got this massive institutional-sized workload, but a very, very different reality on the ground.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. You look on one side, and you've got a big private equity firm. They have specialized teams for everything: deals, operations, data, you name it. But then you look at the family office. Here, one single analyst might be juggling a private equity deal, a real estate report, and a question from the family principal about the public markets, and that's all before lunch.
So the whole thing boils down to this fundamental mismatch. They're managing a portfolio on the scale of a huge institution, but with the staffing of a small startup. The data is all over the place, the reporting is a nightmare, and the pressure is just immense. And this is the exact pain point that created the need for a totally new kind of solution.
Which brings us to the hero of our story, the AI agent. And look, it's really important to get this straight. This is way more than just another piece of software or some simple chatbot.
The key word you gotta remember here is reasoning. You give an agent an ongoing job, something like monitor my portfolio. It doesn't just sit there waiting for you to type a command. It's continuously pulling in new information, thinking about what it actually means for you, and then it delivers something useful, like a critical alert or a summary briefing. And this is a brilliant illustration of what that reasoning actually looks like. It's not one step, it's a whole process. An agent doesn't just search for 100 deals and dump them in your inbox. No, it searches. Then it evaluates each one against your specific criteria. It discards all the junk that doesn't fit. And only then does it deliver a prioritized, pre-vetted summary. See? That's what makes it an agent, not just a search tool. Okay, so now that we've got a handle on what these things are, let's look at the 5 specific types of AI agents that are really changing the game for these family offices. Each one is tailor-made to solve a specific piece of that institutional workload boutique team problem. All right, so here are the 5 heavy hitters. You've got a deal sourcing agent to find and screen new opportunities, a market intelligence agent to turn all the news and noise into actual insights. The multi-asset monitoring agent is there to unify that chaotic portfolio we were talking about. Due diligence helps with the flood of documents. And finally, principal reporting is all about translating that complex data into a clear story for the family.
So let's really zoom in on what the source calls the hardest problem in the whole operation, that multi-asset portfolio monitoring. This is where AI agents can deliver some seriously game-changing value.
What's so amazing here is how the agent connects these different worlds. It's looking at profit variance in your private equity companies, occupancy rates in your real estate portfolio, and borrower health in your private credit deals. But here's the real magic. It then starts looking for correlations across the entire portfolio. It might spot that a single retail tenant is causing problems in both a private equity investment and a real estate holding. That's an insight a human analyst, buried in spreadsheets, could easily miss.
Now, what about the due diligence agent? This quote just nails the whole human-AI partnership. The agent isn't making the investment decision, not at all. It's handling the massive surface area, sifting through all of the documents and financials in a data room. And that frees up the human to focus on what they do best, applying that deep, nuanced judgment. And the impact is just staggering. As this chart shows, the time you spend on the really document-heavy part of due diligence can drop by 60, even 75%. We're talking about turning 40 hours of manual, mind-numbing work into just 10. And that's time that can now be spent finding the next great deal or just managing the current portfolio better.
But with all this incredible power comes a massive responsibility. And that brings us to what has to be the ultimate test for any AI tool in this space: security and privacy.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear here. We are not just talking about stock prices. This is the complete blueprint of a family's entire financial life. We're talking trust structures, ownership details, generational wealth plans. The stakes really could not be any higher.
So the security requirements are totally non-negotiable. The source lays out this critical checklist. Your data can never be stored or used for model training. The whole system has to run in a private, totally isolated cloud. There must be a full audit trail of who touched what data and when. And all of this has to be baked into a legal, contractual agreement. Anything less is an absolute non-starter.
Okay, so let's say you're sold on the power and you completely understand the security needs. How does a firm actually get started on this journey? The key, and this is important, is to avoid trying to do everything all at once.
The way to do it is sequentially, methodically. You start with a simple data audit to figure out what you even have. Then, you pilot one single agent that's focused on your biggest headache. You run it side by side with your old process for a while to tweak it and make sure it's working, and only once that first agent is really humming and delivering value, then you layer in a second one. It's an evolution, not a revolution.
And that brings us to our final thought for the day. We started with that wild claim that AI could make a 5-person team operate like one of 20, and we've kind of seen how that's possible now. So it really makes you wonder, if this is happening today in the most private, most discreet corner of the financial world, what other high-stakes, knowledge-based job is going to be completely transformed next?